Okay, don't pound on the thing that's holding the camera. See how it's working its way up there a little bit, but not much. Well, you're going to fight it, but basically, it's going to come out of there. I'm watching the camera this time. You're gonna beat on it much harder than this. You're gonna beat on this thing like you ain't seen. Now, do you see that little thing right there that's starting to pop up? What you want to do is take yourself a flathead screwdriver, like so, put it in here, and pry on it just a little bit so it pops this side out right here. Okay? Now, it's going to want to fight you the whole way, but basically it will come out. Now your brushes are in there. You want to be careful you don't bust them up. They're pretty tough, but don't bust them up. Now you're going to be looking at this, and this is going to be all hard to turn. What you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of pliers or some other thing and pry on it. Alright, where was I? So you're gonna want to pull on this, and it's not going to come out. So pull on it really hard, and it's going to go, and this thing is going to pop out and be on here. Now I've already fixed mine. It's down at the bottom, but that's going to pop out, okay? And you're going to be at this copper thing or this brass thing that's stuck on there. Take a pair of pliers, wiggle it off. Then you're going to have this brass thing, and you're going to have your motor. Take yourself some 1000 grit sandpaper, wet dry sandpaper, and clean this shaft end up here, and set it aside. Now you're going to look down at the bottom of this, and you're going to say, "Holy cow! How am I ever going to get that bushing back down in there?" Well, those little flanges don't really matter that much. What you want to do is pry all those little flanges out of the way. Who cares? Once you get them out of the way enough, you should be able to take that bushing and put it on a flathead screwdriver so it doesn't slip up, and weasel it back down in there. Once you get that back down in there, step back a few. You're going to want to test that thing first to make sure it's nice and smooth on this. Okay? You tested that. And you know it spins freely. So you're going to want to push it back down in there, and that's kind of hard to do, but you can do it. Don't force it. If it doesn't want to go the first time, bend those things back a little bit more. And once it goes down in there and it doesn't fall out, you're ready to reinstall the stator, or this thing, the commutator, whatever you call it. You do want it to be, however, kind of straight. You don't want it to look like that. You want it to be nice and flat, so it's sitting in there like so. Take your armature, that's what it's called. It's an armature. Set it back down in there, and you're going to want to try to, again, this ain't the easiest thing to do. You got to wobble it and wiggle it around until it goes in. Of course, it's just, I'm shooting a video, so of course it's going to mess up. That's Murphy's Law. But anyway, you can see what it takes to do this. It ain't just straightforward. Set your armature down in there. Set your armature down in there so it goes into bushing. At some point it will go in the bushing. It's not going in the bushing. The bushing's sideways again. Come on. I know it's straight. I can see it. Get in there, you stupid thing. Oh, you're kidding me. Come on. This thing wasn't this hard to put in the first time. Get in there. Cut. Okay, 15 minutes later, that sucker's down in there. You'll know it's down all the way because the armature itself, the windings, I don't know, will be down below the magnet. Notice it spins freely. Now there's your brushes. You want to make sure when you put the brushes on, again, you don't want to have got a little grease on them, but what the heck. You want to make sure you slide this thing down in there. Now you're like, okay, my brushes are banging into the armature or the commutator. So push one out of the way, like so. It's hard to do for the camera. Push one out of the way so it's held back. You see that? And then push the other one out of the way so that it's held back. Wiggle the thing around and then push it down in there. You'll know it's down all the way. It won't go any further. Give that little plastic thing there a couple taps. And voila. That's that. Your motor's fixed. Now, put a little bit of white lithium grease on the end of the. Oh, you want to clean this shaft up too with your sandpaper if it's all nasty. Mine was, so you can see how that 1000 grit does a pretty good job. Put a little bit of that grease on there. Now, you'll want to carefully slide this piece back in there, like so, and then put your 2 screws back in. Now I'm not going to do that because it takes forever. Oh no, I know it takes forever. The stupid putting that motor back together took forever. Now onto your gear. Your gear's probably nasty here. This shaft. Again, use your 1000 grit sandpaper and shine this sucker up as best you can. You want to make sure that when you put the gear in, it goes on nice and easy. Grease up this surface here real good, and put grease all the way around in on all the gear grooves. Slide it in, and then put the gasket back on. It goes somehow. What's left of the gasket. And then put the. I tricked you. Put the red thing on, or whatever color it is for yours, I don't know. And then this piece last. And there you have it. That is the rebuilt motor. Now, I've got my handy dandy testing thinger here, a power supply, and I'll power it up, and you can see how nice and smooth it works. Just thread the wires in the end of the plug, like so, all hillbilly style. And I know I ain't got these screws in. I don't want to hear anything about it. I'm going to hold it. Turn the power on. You may not be able to hear me, but I've got the voltage all the way down. So I'm going to start raising the voltage. Around it goes. Take it on up to 12 volts. Works like a new one. That's how it's done. Now you guys know how to do it. If you break yours, get another one. Try again. What's the worst? You can go through 2 of them. I mean, there's going to be enough parts by then to fix it. Okay, so well, my hands are all greasy, or I grabbed the camera. But anyway, that's how you do it. Now go fix yours. Quit moaning about them not working. Just go do it. I ain't going to bother explaining about the window, because I know you're going to have to grease that sucker up, and that's it. Just grease it up, put it back together, get the cables right, figure it out. I figured this out. You can figure out the cables. And enjoy your windows going up and down. I forgot to mention, here's a step that's important. If you want to grease up this edge right here, a little grease on that like so. And then put a little grease right here. And that way, because this rides, that thing rides in circles around on this thing before you slap it back together like so. Now you don't have to force this thing on. When you put your, well, you need to tap it down a little bit, but when you put this thing on the proper way, you might even want to grease this, clean this off and grease it. I'm going to. And then by this point you'll have your thing back on your window and you put your screws back in and everything's good. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial on how to fix your window.